So a lot of people ask me what camera should they get, what should be their first camera, what is the best vlogging or camera for making reels, and my answer has always stayed the same. If you want to make reels, stories or YouTube videos, you should just get an iPhone. Anything from the iPhone 11 onwards is pretty good, and in my opinion it serves the purpose of YouTube videos and shorts and reels. So in today's video I'm going to cover settings, apps, frame rate, resolution and everything you need to know to get started making videos on your iPhone. And just a heads up, I have the iPhone 11. It's not the latest or greatest. That's what I've been using for all of my videos when I shoot on an iPhone. This or any newer phone will be good enough for you. So starting off with settings, once you go into the settings app, you have to go all the way down and you have to look for the camera settings. You can't do it directly in the camera. That I know that sucks, but so the first option is formats, and I always use highly efficient. I think it helps, saves a lot of space, and there is no specific disadvantage to it. Next, that's not on my iPhone because I don't have the Pro models, but if you have a Pro model you'll have two extra settings here, which is ProRes and ProRAW. So ProRAW is basically a DNG file that gives you more color information, higher dynamic range and has much more flexibility while editing the image. And ProRes is a pretty popular format for post-production, but if you're just making vlogs, reels or anything, it will take up a lot of extra space, and the difference between the both isn't that noticeable in viewing it. Yeah, ProRes might have a little bit more clarity in it, but that's all. And for ProRAW, if you don't have a paid Lightroom version or any other app that accepts raw DNG images, there's not going to be any point since you won't be able to take advantage of ProRAW. It's best to just use JPEGs. So if you do have the option, I think you should just turn it off, since it's gonna just take up extra storage and it's not like you're gonna be missing out on anything. From here, the next option is record video. I usually keep everything at 4K 30 FPS. I'll explain that later. And everything else I don't touch. That's the main thing I use here. And if you have an iPhone 12 or newer, you will have another option here as well, which would be HDR video. I would also suggest you to turn that off, since HDR is high dynamic range, and to edit such video like I do on Premiere Pro or any other software on the PC, you will have to do extra work to get it looking normal, rather than just using SDR, which is just turning HDR off. If I compare it here for you, HDR on and off from an iPhone 14, you'd see there's a little more detail in the dynamic range, but it's not worth it for the extra work you have to do in post-production to get it looking like SDR footage. And now once we go on next, preserve settings, I leave camera mode and creative controls on because I like to, as soon as I open my app, I like it to be ready to record. So if example I leave it in video, I turn it off and now I swipe it back, it will be saved in video with the frame rate and resolution saved as before. So that really helps in recording something fast. I just swipe on the lock screen and it just opens up instantly, ready to record. And just another small thing, you can turn grids on. It just helps in framing a shot in a specific way, and it just helps me frame my shot in the center or any specific way I want it to, and it just makes it easier. So next, let's talk about the camera apps. So there are a lot of camera apps, and the most famous ones are Filmic Pro and the Moment app. I've always preferred the Native Camera app. Plus, all these apps don't maximize the iPhone's features, but the Native Camera app does. So that's what I've chosen to use, the Native Camera app on iPhone. I've not even customized the logo or anything because that's just the fastest way. But if I use the camera app, it turns on instantly, which really helps when you're vlogging and just want to start recording within a second. Swipe down, start recording, best thing. So once you open the camera app, for me it opens on video because that's what my creative control is saved. But for normally it would open on photo and you just swipe one down to video. So as I was talking about before, my frame rate and resolution. So for the maximum amount of time, as I said before, I'm using 4K 30. There was this one time when I was traveling across Ladakh for 2 weeks. That's when I switched to 1080p, and switching is pretty simple in the camera app. You can just click on the resolution and it will change from HD to 4K, and the same with the frame rate. You just click on it and it will cycle through the frame rates. I have mine set to PAL, so I also have the option of 25. I've noticed a lot of people who use their iPhones on 1080p. It's fine, you will save a lot of storage, but I think the iPhone really shines when you are using it in 4K. It just looks that much better, and I personally can tell the difference like by a lot. And for frame rates, I've usually stuck to 30 FPS for anything to do on Instagram. I've noticed it just looks a little better on Instagram, the way the compression works and all. It's just after a bunch of experimentation, I've come to the conclusion that 30 just works best on Instagram. But other than that, if I'm vlogging or doing anything horizontal like for YouTube, I've stuck to 25 or 60. I rarely go to 120 or 240 FPS. I don't like the quality of it. And now the lenses. So the normal iPhone model, the non-Pro models have 2 lenses, and the Pro models have 3 lenses. We have a 1x and a 5x. That's right here. We have a 1x and we have a 5x. And the 5x is a ultra wide lens. It's around 14mm. And the main 1x is about a 24-26 mm. It's somewhere around there. I usually stick to the 1x for a maximum amount of time because that's where you're gonna get the best quality, the best dynamic range, and the best low light capabilities. I switch the 5x when I'm vlogging like this, and I find that most convenient. I've noticed that the quality does degrade a lot, especially on my 11. So for the maximum amount of time, I do stick to the 1x. That's where I get the best quality. For the Pro models, you also have a 3x, which is somewhere around a 77mm. I really like the look, and whenever I do get my hands on a Pro, I always sort of use a 3x as well when taking photos and videos. So for the final thoughts that I have, an iPhone is a great tool if you know how to use it. You don't need to buy an entry-level camera. Instead, I think the iPhone is a much better option with a friendly user interface, and the portability of it is much more convenient to use than having a camera. So get yourself an iPhone if you're not looking to do any professional stuff, more like hobbyist, enthusiast level for yourself. If you're looking to shoot for clients or any other people that are gonna pay you, it's gonna be better to get a camera or rent it out for the day if you don't have the budget to buy one immediately. And thanks for watching. That's been it for today's video. See you in the next one.